Hello and welcome to another episode of the Good Hearted Podcast. This is part 2 of 30 things that I've learned in 30 years on my self-love journey, about self-love, about myself, all of those good things. So if you missed the last episode, be sure to listen to that for 15 more things that I've learned. So today I'm going to do the last 15 things on my list. I'm probably going to go off on tangents here and there, but I'm going to try to keep it a little shorter than the last one, but no promises. Because some of these, it's just, I don't want to just throw them out there and then leave them for you. I would rather elaborate just a little bit. And some of these topics I have probably touched on in past episodes, and just be sure to look back through the other episode titles if something was kind of resonating with you or pulling at you. And those episodes should have some more information for you on those points. So without further ado, I'm going to get into 15 more things that I learned on my self-love journey. Also, I'm doing this because I just turned 30. So you're watching this about a week after I turned 30. So that's why I decided to do 30 things I've learned in 30 years. I really enjoy seeing other people do those kinds of videos and kind of their area of expertise. So I'm doing it about self-love because that's what we talk about here on this podcast, and just embracing the truest version of yourself and being you unapologetically. So let's get into the list. So, like I said, I've already done 15 things. So, this is the 16th thing that I've learned about self love. And that is to say no more than you say yes to other people, other opportunities, other events, other literally anything. Say no more than you say yes. And I talked about this, I think 2 episodes ago, maybe 3, and how to stop caring about everything. I will link that in the description. But basically, I just learned that my automatic response needs to be no, at least most of the time, because I am already at capacity a lot of the time. Like, I am happy to make time for my really good friends and my family. But other than that, I need to be saying no to most things because I just don't have the extra energy, the extra time, the extra finances to contribute to those things. And that's okay. Like, I have to be okay with that in this season of life, it just needs to be a no until it's a yes, versus saying yes and then dreading it and trying to figure out how I'm going to squeeze it in and then stressing about it and then flaking. I don't want to be that person anymore. So now I will just try to be honest and say that things don't work for me or that it's just a no and move on. The 17th thing I've learned is to forgive myself as often as I can. I'm not great at this. I've definitely gotten better at it. But a lot of times, what was holding me back in life was me not being willing to forgive myself for literally anything. The way I acted in high school, the thing that I said to a stranger, like the thing that I said to a friend that I overthought and that they probably have not thought about anymore. But, just I kept holding myself back because I felt like I was not worthy of experiences or relationships. Literally, insert anything. I had an excuse for why I didn't deserve happiness in that way. And usually it was because I had not forgiven myself or let go of a quote unquote mistake I had made. So I've just had to be better at forgiving myself and just letting it go. Like, shit happens. We make mistakes. We make a fool out of ourselves. Sometimes you just got to suck it up and be like, yeah, that was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. And sometimes the only person who needs to forgive you is yourself, because nobody else cares. They've got their own shit that they're worried about. So stop holding yourself back. The 18th thing I've learned, and I've gotten really good about lately, is to have a good cry when everything feels super heavy. Usually when I'm stressed, anxious, nervous, overwhelmed, sick sometimes, like physically sick. Sometimes I really just need to confront the things that are on my mind and on my heart, and I need to just cry it out. That ends the stress cycle for me and allows me to feel that instant relief. Like, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you cry at all, ever, that when you're stressed and you're worried and you're physically sick about something, and then you just take the time to kind of get all of those feelings and thoughts and emotions out and you bawl your eyes out. Your eyes might hurt and your nose might hurt and your throat might hurt afterwards, but mentally, you probably feel like a huge weight has been lifted. And sometimes that's all I need to kind of get a grip and get back to doing my daily things. But sometimes just that pressure and everything feels so heavy that it's literally weighing me down to the couch, to the bed, making me not want to talk to anyone and isolate and not even talk to my husband, and sometimes I just need to allow myself to be emotional about it, to have a cry about it, and to just let the release happen because of the relief I feel afterwards. And that has been huge with like keeping my mental health in a healthier place. It's not always great, but allowing myself to have those big emotions instead of just constantly pushing it down has been huge for me to just feel better on a more regular basis, or to know like, okay, I can cry about this at some point this week, even if like it's not going to happen today. Like I will just push it back until I have alone time or it's nighttime or I can be in the shower. And then I'm going to deal with those thoughts and those feelings. And so acknowledging them, that it's making me feel uncomfortable, that it's making me upset, sad, depressed, whatever it is, has been huge for me. And then again, allowing myself to cry about it, because for a long time I was like, you're being dumb. Like, this is stupid. Do not make this bigger than it is. You should not be feeling the way you're feeling. Where now I'm just like, okay, I understand. This is frustrating. This is sad, whatever, the emotion is. And then I kind of tuck it away and I'm just like, okay, I just need you to chill for just a minute. I'm going to pretend that you're not like having a breakdown over there until I can schedule my own breakdown about it. And if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. Sometimes it's just not realistic to confront things like that in the middle of the day or in the middle of an insane week. Like sometimes you just have to push through. But just taking the time to end that stress cycle, I think, is huge for self-love and for just taking care of your mental health and your physical health too, because it can seriously make you sick. That has happened to me so many times. I couldn't even count them. Like, I'm not joking. And maybe you can relate. I don't know. The 19th thing I've learned is something that I am still trying to convince myself of. It's one of those like affirmations that I have to like tell myself because anyway, I'll just get into it. The things I have to say are important and they can impact the people who hear them. I've never really believed that what I had to say was important. Every once in a while, I've like said something profound and I'm like, damn, that sounded smart. That sounded, like an epiphany. Like that was good. But for the most part, I've not seen myself as that kind of person. But honestly, one of my friends at some point when I started the podcast, she talked about sharing it and getting the word out, which I loved and appreciated. And she was like, you have important and good things to say. And I just feel like people need to hear them. And that was just like one little bit of our conversation, but it just gave me all the like motivation and validation and reassurance that I needed to know that this podcast was the right thing for me. Because even though I can diminish myself all day long, and why am I like emotional right now? Like, I'm just a girl from a small town. I've never left my hometown. I've married a person that I went to high school with. I live right down the road from my parents, all of these things. And I had a lot of unideal things happen to me in my life. And so a lot of times when I'm using this platform, I'm like, who am I? Who am I to be doing this? Who am I to be talking about these things, to be talking about my life, to try to connect and resonate with other people? But truly, I do have important things to say sometimes. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that. And it's okay for you to acknowledge that and to know that people need and deserve to hear what you have to say. Because some people need a different perspective. Some people just need to feel connected to somebody and to feel less alone. And that is my goal with this podcast, is to just make you feel less alone and reassure you that the true version of yourself is the version that people need to see, and they need to hear you too. So that was kind of a long little tangent. But that's something I still struggle with sometimes because I worry that people aren't listening to the podcast or it's not adding any value to your life. And I need to remember that I am important. The things I say are important. And I want you to know that things you say are important too. Even if people make you feel otherwise, then you need to surround yourself with new people who make you feel important and listen to what you have to say. But above all, you need to stop diminishing yourself and to speak with pride and talk about the things that matter to you unapologetically. Like, what else is social media for if not that? Oh my God, I still have like 10 more of these things. So I'm going to try to hurry up because I feel like this is already half as long as the last part one was. So number 20 is I can appreciate my body without loving it. I can be thankful it is carrying me through life. I can be appreciative of it. I can be neutral about it. I can have things that I don't like about it, but it doesn't have to be like a hate. I hate my body. I hate everything about my body. Why is my body the way that it is? Why doesn't it do this, this, and this? I can just be appreciative that it is my vessel in this life, and I can decorate it with cute stickers, as Dylan calls them, all my sticker tattoos, and make it more appealing to me. And even though I have arthritis in my tailbone, like I'm pretty sure my hips are uneven, and I have one boob that's bigger than the other boob. I have all of these like weird things about my body, and I'm sure you do too, have things that like you feel are weird. I'm not saying your body is weird, but I can look past those things instead of focusing on it and thinking, damn, I got the short end of the stick. I did not get the good genes. I didn't get the body that bounces back after you have a baby. Like all of those things, instead of letting those constantly be in my mind and nagging me, I can just let those thoughts kind of fade away and be like, who fucking cares? Who cares? As long as I am happy and I'm healthy and I'm still alive, I can be thankful for my body and not love it and still be fine with that. Also, if you can hear my toddler, she is screaming and probably singing right now. So I hope you're enjoying that background noise. Okay, so number 21 is probably like one of my favorite points in this part 2 episode because this is something I learned actually quite a while ago, but I have embraced it and I've tried to pass this on to like literally everyone else. And it kind of goes along with other points that I've talked about on this list of 30, but how could I not have some that were kind of related to each other, if you know what I mean? So the 21st thing that I've learned on my self-love journey is that some people don't like me or won't like me, and that's okay because I don't like a lot of people. Like a lot of people are not my people. So why do I care if somebody doesn't like me? That is not where I need to spend my energy. I do not need to try to like convert them to Team Morgan. Like I need to just be like, okay, that's cool. We won't be friends. We won't hang out. That's okay. I've got my own group, who likes me. That was something like all of high school. I tried to be friends with everybody. I wanted all the teachers to like me. I wanted to be the star child and the star student and definitely not the star athlete because I tried sports and they did not work out well for me. But like as I got closer to kind of 25 and then probably closer to like 28, I was like, it's okay. I don't even have to hate the people who don't like me. It can just be we don't like each other. We don't get along. We don't mesh well. Even if like we don't actively fight, if we don't like click and talk for hours, like that's okay. It's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And like I said, there's a lot of people I don't care for or just would not choose to spend my time with. And that could be a personality thing or just not having anything in common or beliefs or like it could be so many different things. And I think it just needs to be normalized that not everybody has to like everyone. That would be boring anyway because then everybody would be like very similar and yeah. So the 22nd thing I have learned is that my own approval is all that I need. So when I started really thinking more about this and paying more attention to it, then I kind of actively tried to be the truest version of myself, who is a girl that has like two styles, which is either like homeless or super cute and done up, like edgy or girly, and likes to cuss and likes to have tattoos and likes to drink and, have a good time and relax and doesn't have to be bougie, doesn't have to go out to nice restaurants, like can go to the dive bar down the street and be happy as a clam. Like I just stopped trying to enjoy things that I didn't enjoy. And then I naturally started like attracting people who liked similar things to me instead of people who had totally different interests that, we were just kind of circumstantial friends. And so that was huge for me as well, to feel like I was gaining new relationships or deepening certain relationships because I was finally like letting the real me come out, if that makes any sense. But really, I just realized I just needed my own approval to do that. And now I really don't care if somebody doesn't like something about me. I'm just like, it's a drop in the bucket. Lots of people don't like things about me. And like, there's no sense in me losing sleep over it. As long as I'm happy, as long as it's something that I want to do and I feel comfortable with, that's all that matters. Okay, number 23, my feelings and life experiences are valid, even if they seem trivial. So I don't know about you, but like I've talked about many, many, many times, I grew up in the church, right? And so I remember having these services, and sometimes it was like revival and it was a whole thing, but people would stand up and give their testimony. And it was usually this like crazy sob story, right? Like you wanted the applause. This sounds so terrible. It sounds so bad, but this is how I felt like sitting in church. Like I was baptized when I was like 8 years old, something like that, raised in the church all my life. So all of these people who had these like super powerful testimonies of how they were like at their rock bottom and they ruined their life or whatever, and now they've like found God and they have the best life ever. Like I was always so jealous because I was like, my story is nothing like that. It's not dramatic. It's not like theatrical. And so I always like diminished my own experience when it came to like my life, because honestly, if you have been in the church, like that is your life. It's the same thing. You don't have like a church life and then your personal life is like you have a work life and a personal life. It's like church life and personal life should be the same thing, interchangeable. And so I was just like, man, my life's so boring. Like I've never had hardship. I've never faced any kind of trauma or anything like that. And that's not true. It's not true. So I don't know if you've had something similar in your life that you've just been like, oh, I have this friend that like everything is the end of the world and she's been through so much hard shit and I've been through nothing. Like, no, we all have our own version of trauma and sadness and depression and loneliness. It might just be at a different level than somebody else's. Yours just might not seem as intense as other people's. And honestly, I think that's okay. I think that's preferred. But anyway, don't let things like that diminish how you feel or see your life experiences and your feelings, because they are valid. Even if other people make you feel like they aren't, they are. No matter what you've been through, I'm proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself for making it through it. And please don't diminish those experiences, because it is serious. It is something that has helped mold you into the person you are today. And whether you choose to revisit those things or not, that's not really the point. But just, I was going to say, don't make light of your trauma. But this is literally the girl who makes jokes in therapy. So probably not the best one to give advice on that one. Moving on. The 24th thing I've learned is that I deserve to wear things that make me feel hot and things that are comfortable. Those are like my two rules these days. I literally all the time used to say to Dylan, like I would be wearing something crazy, right? Like a bodycon dress and 5-inch heels and my hair pulled back, giving me a fucking headache. And Dylan would be like, wow, like you look so good. Like, are you okay? Because then I'd start like wobbling in my heels, or like I'd be like, oh my God, my feet hurt so bad. And I would literally just say, if it ain't hurting, it ain't working, which for a long time I thought was very true. And sometimes it's still true. Like those heels do make your butt look really good sometimes, but is it worth it? I don't know. So like the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, okay, I can look hot, but it still has to be comfortable. So like even the shirt right now, it like keeps coming up on my stomach, which obviously you can't see with the camera. On a comfort level, ooh, and I have a strapless bra on, which is no fun, but it's mostly comfortable. Right. And then I have standing outfits and sitting outfits. And so I try to just make sure I feel good. And like when I'm comfortable, I feel good because I'm not worried about my garments and like what's showing, what's not showing, and, just all those things. I'm not focused on the clothing or the things that I'm wearing because I'm just comfortable and having a good time. But I try to get items that are comfortable and make me feel hot. So win-win for me. And I wish I had figured that out a long time ago, but when I was younger, I didn't really care. I could go for hours in heels, go dance club and whatever, and I could not imagine these days. Okay, so number 25 on my list, I'm going to stop saying like 25th because I keep just like stammering and I can't spit it out. So number 25, my priorities and values don't have to make sense to anyone else. This kind of is a piggyback off of like only my approval is what matters. And then earlier I talked about the like, taking your experiences and letting that mold what you believe in. So when it comes to your priorities and your values, like your family values, what matters to you doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. It's nobody else's business. You don't even have to talk about it. It can just be for you. And like, just don't feel like you have to have certain priorities because other people have made you think that you need that. Just no, just you do you. Number 26, my messy house is a direct result of my choosing to live life over doing chores. I shouldn't care what my house looks like, and if someone makes me feel bad for it, they shouldn't be welcome in my home. This is something that I think TikTok taught me, so thank you, whoever was on TikTok talking about this. But that is so true. Like in this season of life, my house is not clean. I am trying to get under control. I am trying to get it organized. And oh my God, yesterday I got like 2 hours, I think, to clean because it was a Sunday. And thankfully we were hanging out at home and Dylan and Harper were outside. And I got to like clean my house. I cleaned off the dining room table. That always makes me feel like my house is clean. Like if the dining room table is clear. So sometimes I will even just do that because that's like all I can get to, all I can get done. But like I'm choosing to put chores and a clean house on lower on my priority list. Right? I am trying to instead enjoy the downtime that I have with my family, to enjoy playing with my toddler, and maybe even choosing to read over doing chores because that is me time. That's something that fills my cup and something that makes me happy. And so even choosing to do my hair and makeup or something instead of doing dishes, like dishes and laundry will get done. It will eventually get done. It does not have to like happen right now unless we're out of underwear or something. But literally, like sometimes it is way more crucial for me to have 20 minutes of quiet reading time than 20 minutes of doing the dishes because like 20 minutes of reading will help me feel better and make me feel like I've taken time for myself. I've taken time to relax. And then I have like the mental capacity to go do chores or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And it also helps me just like wind down, calm down, and be still for a minute. And I don't invite like anybody over to my house normally because it's a mess, but I've just had to let it go. Like if somebody just stops by or whatever, if we have plans, I've just had to be like, this is what my dining room table looks like. Don't look in the kitchen, but I clean the toilet. Like, like some things I just have learned I have to let go. I am not superwoman. I cannot do all the things all the time. And I really think my friends and family would rather just have me there and present versus never making time for them and constantly cleaning my house because that could definitely happen. Me just cleaning 24/7 every single day. Okay, so this is number 7. I was wondering if I touched on therapy on this list, which is funny. I literally wrote this morning, but it was like 6:30 in the morning, like before Harper got up for the day. But I couldn't remember if I put something about therapy on here. So anyway, I deserve to go to therapy and work through my trauma. For most of my adult life, I wanted to go to therapy, but I felt I wasn't messed up enough. I just touched on this, right? About like diminishing my life experiences and my emotions and my feelings and all of that. So I always felt like I wasn't like I had my life too together for therapy, or like the shit that happened to me wasn't that bad. So I didn't need to go to therapy for it. Like I've lived my life this long without it. I should be fine for the rest of my life. But it's like, no, you're fucking nuts some days because you've put off going to therapy for so long. And there was this TikTok, I'll have to link it in the description because it was so good. The way this girl explained how like emotional therapy worked. And she said, you've got this trash can, right? This is your memories. And so in there, you have all of these crumpled up pieces of paper that are all of these like complicated emotions, whether they're good or bad, they're associated with memories. And so like every once in a while, like something will just come in your mind, right? A memory that you don't want to come out, whether again, it's good or bad, but it emotionally like triggers something in you. And so then you feel like you're kind of spiraling and your brain's overwhelmed and your bucket is overflowing, right, of these crumpled up papers. So what a therapist does is picks out one memory at a time. We open it up, we uncrumple it, we work through it, we talk about it, we process it, right? And we talk about the feelings associated with it and all that. And then we fold it up nice and neat. And then we put it in a stack. And so basically, she was saying, as you continue to go to therapy and work through these memories, these crumpled up pieces of paper that are overflowing in your trash can become these nice, neat stacks of paper. And then when you go to put that in your trash can, it only takes up a little bit of room at the bottom instead of overflowing and constantly coming into your mind because you basically haven't confronted them. And so a therapist just allows you to process those things and to take them one at a time versus like just putting everything off. And that is definitely what I have experienced in therapy. Is one of the things, I think I've talked about it in an episode, I'm sure I have, but about not being enough. Oh, when did that feeling? Because I was basically talking about not being a good enough mom, not doing right by my daughter. And she was like, so have you just started feeling like you weren't enough, like since you become a mom? I'm like, no, it's literally been as long as I can remember that I like didn't do things well enough. I wasn't perfect enough, all those things. And so then we were able to work through that. And so then when I have those thoughts and feelings kind of come up on a daily basis, I can think back to that conversation with her and kind of work back through it and just be like, I am enough. This is just something my subconscious is telling me. It's not right. It's not true. And move on with my day versus like go into a total meltdown, depressional state like I normally would on those days when I wasn't feeling good enough. So anyway, I am so glad that I finally started going to therapy in the last year of my 20s. I'm very thankful and I look forward to continuing to go, hopefully for many years to come, to just kind of keep that trash bucket or trash can from overflowing with those really complicated memories and emotions and situations. Okay, so number 28. It's okay if I hold back pieces of myself in my life for the ones that mean the most to me. They are the ones that will truly appreciate me sharing that version of myself. So basically what I'm saying with this is I used to take a lot of time curating this persona on social media that was perfect and polished and put together and, fun and easygoing, easy breezy, whatever. And I shared lots and lots and lots of things about my life. And now I think since having a daughter, I've like totally reverted to like sharing nothing. I'm hoping to find a happy medium at some point. But I just realized by sharing everything with all of these strangers, nothing felt special to me anymore. So I wanted to keep certain things sacred and personal and not feeling like every day I had to do something interesting enough for social media, because then I was just like curating a fake life. And now I'm to the point where I do all kinds of fun and cool things with my daughter and with my husband. And I don't even feel the need to post on social media anymore because I just don't seek that external validation anymore, which is like huge for me. I'm saying that like that's no big deal, but oh my God, I have done a lot of hard inner work to get to that point, because for so long I saw my worth and my value in the number of followers I had and the amount of likes that I got and, comments and all of that. And I just realized that those were all vanity metrics. And in the grand scheme of things, at the end of the day, was not even close to what made me happy in life. What makes me happy is living a true, genuine, normal life and being surrounded by people I love and spending my time and energy on them. Oh my God. I know I was just talking about loving my body, but my back hurts so bad right now and my neck. Okay, we are almost done. 2 more. So, number 29, I can refuse to receive anything I want. I don't have to accept every shit sandwich I am served, which this is something I have learned from Elaine over on TikTok. I'm sure you know who she is. I'm sure you've seen her merch that just says, I don't receive that. And so that's something definitely in the last year or so I've embraced a little bit more of, just like when people try to throw things my way or make a shitty comment or even just post something on social media that again is not directed at me, I can just take it with a grain of salt and move on and just be like, okay, I'm just going to ignore that, pretend it didn't happen, or just not care about it. Like, stop caring about everything. I did just do an episode on that, which I've talked about, but I've just learned to let it go and to just not deal with that bullshit anymore. I'm too old for it, to be totally honest. Okay, and number 30, the 30th thing that I've learned in 30 years on my self-love journey or about self-love is that I am worthy of a beautiful life that I love. I've had a blast curating this life the last couple years because I feel like I have finally realized what's important to me, what my values are, what my beliefs are, what I want for my future when it comes to my family unit and for my daughter. And I've just had to let everything else go. I've happily let it go because it just doesn't matter to me anymore. And all that matters is that I have a life that I love and that it's beautiful. And I have to remind myself sometimes that I deserve that because sometimes I try to tell myself that I'm a shitty person, that I don't deserve the husband that I have, I don't deserve to be a mom. And the truth is, I am worthy of a beautiful life. I deserve it. And so do you. I hope you can get to the point where you truly believe that, even on the days that it's hard. Like you'll come back and be like, okay, I don't deserve to punish myself, even for a mistake that you made or thing that you said that you thought was dumb. Like that, none of those things mean that you should not have a beautiful life that you love. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for 30 things that I've learned in 30 years. Again, it's like hard to believe that I'm 30. Like 30, I thought 30 was so old. And I really thought I had my shit together by the time I was 30. I even asked my mom a couple weeks ago. I was like, you were 30 and you had 3 kids by the time she was 33, 34. And I was like, how did you do it? Like, do you have it figured out? Do you have it figured out now? She's like, no. I was like, well, you always seemed like you had it figured out and you had it all together and whatever. And I'm just learning that all of the adults in the world are just winging it, just doing the best they can. They don't know what they're doing either, which makes me feel a little bit better. I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse, but none of us know what we're doing. So why not try to make the most of it and have a fun life that you love? Who cares what anybody else thinks? If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with somebody. Some of these things I wish I had learned or realized more in my early 20s versus my late 20s, because my God, I could only imagine the type of person I would be and how unapologetic I would be about myself. Because for so long, I have tried to be that like good girl that was nice and people pleasing and did everything for everybody. And again, star student and blah, blah, blah. And like, that's just not me. That's not me. I'm a little rough around the edges. I'm a little darker than I let on for a very long time. And I've just learned to be okay with that and to actually be happy with that. Because again, that's me being true to myself instead of being fake. And nobody wants to be fake. Nobody wants to find out that you've been fake like the whole time that you've been in a relationship with them or friendship with them, So anyway, if you enjoyed it, I hope you will pass it on to somebody who could potentially use some of this advice, or like I kind of think of it as like a letter to my younger self, but I didn't want to do that because I feel like that would be way more emotional and like exhausting, honestly, for me to think about. But at the same time, this list of 30 things is a great bit of advice I think I would have benefited from in my 20s. So anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one.